Hello, my loves, and welcome to Show and Tell number 1. This is a segment that one of my very good friends, Carrie Penny, the Happy Crafty Homemaker, does on her channel. So I thought I would bring that into this new space for us. Basically, what this segment is going to be about is me sharing my whips, my FOs if I have any, what I'm reading, what I'm watching. Basically, a time for you to get to know me better. Any acquisitions, all kinds of fun things. So let's start off with a little about me, just in case you don't know who I am, where I came from, that kind of thing. If you have followed me over here from my crochet channel, you may or may not already know this story. My name is Erica. I live in South Carolina with my husband and 3 boys. It is extremely hot right now. The temperature I checked before I started filming was 93 with a heat index of 112. It has been a very, very hot summer. A lot hotter than normal. Sometimes when that happens, that means that we have a bad winter. We don't usually get a lot of snow around here, but sometimes when we have a very, very hot summer, we have a very cold winter. Kind of goes hand in hand. How did I get the name the Lopsided Crafter? Well, I was born with some hip disformities. The technical name is hip dysplasia. My left hip kept slipping out of socket. I was born with a dislocated hip, and I had a extreme leg length discrepancy. Over the years, I've had many surgeries. I have had 2 hip replacements and a knee replacement in my later life, but early life, I had a bunch of surgeries to try to help correct it. So my husband would always tease me and say I was a little lopsided. So that's where the name come from. So the Lopsided Crafter. I'm a military brat. My stepfather was in the Air Force for 23 years. We traveled quite a bit with his job. I was fortunate enough, although I did not appreciate it at the time, to live in Germany for 3 years. We were actually there when there was a distinct West Germany and East Germany. We were there before the wall went down. So that was a very learning experience. Like I said, although I was too young to really appreciate the opportunity that I had. I was a teenager, but you know how we are when we're teenagers. We're like, I don't want to be here type thing. So that's a little bit about me in my previous life, meaning before all of these recent joint replacements. I was a surgical tech and worked in the OR for many years, and I loved that job. But here we are. I'm going to start with some acquisitions. I'm going to start with what I got at Hobby Lobby first. I went to Hobby Lobby a week or so ago and did a video for items that you can buy in a big box store for beginner loomers. That video, I believe, is coming out Thursday. Depending on when this video is actually uploaded, it may have already been released or may be releasing. So while I was there, I did pick up 2 skeins of their I Love This Chunky yarn, and this is in the color Sunset. I am going to be making my mom a pair of slipper socks out of these. So I will do an updated video for that because I've actually changed how I do them. So I'm going to, like I said, do an updated video for that. Also, while I was at Hobby Lobby, I did pick up their Loom set. I don't have a lot of the 5/8" gauge looms on hand, and I wanted to be able to show beginner tutorials with looms that you would actually buy in the store. So I picked this up. I have already finished a project on it, and I will do a review video on these. From Michaels, I picked up 2 skeins of this Loops and Threads Charisma in the color Sage, 2 in the color Strawberry Malty, which, I mean, it looks more purple to me. I don't know if you guys can see that. That is not pink. And then I also picked up 2 skeins of this Caron Blossom Cakes. And this is in the color Radiant Rainbow. For this, I'm thinking a shawl or a cowl or something like that. I'm working on a stitch pattern for it on Stitch Fiddle. So that is on hold for right now until I decide what way I want to go. I also picked up one of their loom sets. Now, this is the Knit Quick mini loom set. I went over this a little bit, like I said, in that big box video. I was actually surprised to find out that these are a 1/2 inch gauge. If you know anything about loom knitting, most of the looms that you buy in a big box store are the 5/8 gauge. So the fact that these are a 1/2 inch is actually pretty good. If you don't know about gauge for a loom, you measure from the center of one peg to the center of the other, and that's how you determine the gauge of the loom. I do have a video coming out. It's already been filmed, uploaded. It's just scheduled, that talks about the difference between peg gauge and stitch gauge, because they are different, and I know that can be very confusing, especially for beginning loom knitters. So look for that. And then we're going to be doing some projects on these as well, especially because they're so accessible. That is the Michaels and Hobby Lobby haul. And now let's see what I got from Amazon. Honestly, I picked up one of the flower looms from Amazon, and I am going to send this back. The downside to buying looms on Amazon is that they don't put the gauge in there in the description. Basically, they're saying, oh, this loom is 3.5 inches. But well, they're talking about the whole diameter of the loom itself, not the peg distance. So this was a 1 inch. I really do not want to use the 1 inch. I want to use the 5/8 inch. I have been playing around with doing granny squares on the loom that look almost traditionally crocheted, but I want to get the right equipment, as I said, so to be easier for everybody to follow around. So if you come across the Bloom Loom set and you're looking for a little bit more than 5/8, almost a 1 inch gauge, this is perfect, but this is definitely bigger than the 5/8. So I will be sending that back. Oh, this is something else that I did pick up from Hobby Lobby. Some of the light bulb stitch markers, which, if I'm being honest, I have a bunch of those. Let's see here. I feel like you can never have enough light bulb stitch markers, honestly. I usually have one sort of container in every project bag, just because you never know when you're going to need one. Something else that I did pick up at Amazon, which I've already got one of these that I have bought from Arkansas Yarn Company, but this one is from Amazon, and it's basically a slat bracelet, but it's got a magnetic tray on it. So when you're working with your project and you're using metal stitch markers, or you're sewing in your ends, anything like that, you can put that right there on that magnetic plate and it won't go anywhere. So it works great if you're in the car, or you're working, sitting in the living room watching TV, or like I do in the evening with my husband, sit on our bed, and he goes to sleep and I sit there and knit. So, I mean, they work perfect. That way you can keep track of all of your stitch markers. When you're done, just take it off. It did come from Amazon, a pack of 3. I believe they were $9.99. Very, very reasonably priced. I do have that linked in the Amazon store below. The Amazon store is not a necessity. It's just things that I have tried or like, and I just put it there for you guys to be able to get to it easier. No extra cost to you, and it honestly, it doesn't give me much. It's pennies. But it does help to be able to buy yarn to keep making the free tutorials. So, like I said, not a necessity. If you want to click the link and buy from my link, that's fine. And if you don't, that's fine too. Another thing that I picked up from Amazon, which when it came, I was like, what in the world? I knew what I ordered, but I wasn't expecting it to be in a flat box. I guess I was kind of expecting it to already be put together. This is one of those magnetic yarn holders, which I will probably only be able to use this in the shed. Okay, backtrack a little bit. Where I do my filming and the business part of the Lopsided Crafter is in a she shed that my husband has converted. We have walls up. We have an AC out here. A little bit of storage. I mean, it was a lot of storage when we first started out, but now it's not so much because it's all coming this way, which is why we have this beautiful backdrop behind me. Anyway, so the premise of it is you put your yarn on this little spool and it will sit like this. I just got to put it together. But it's got a magnet here at the bottom, and it magnetizes right there so that when you're pulling on the ball, this moves. And the idea behind this, instead of one of the ones that spin, is that it's not supposed to tip over. I don't know if you have any experience with the yarn ball holders that come on a spindle. Sometimes if you pull the yarn too fast, the whole thing will tip over. This is not supposed to do that. So I will definitely do a video on this with my review if that interests you. Kind of excited to try it. I'll have to wait till I start another project because I always tend to pull from the center, especially when it's a long-term project. So that way I don't have to fight the yarn rolling everywhere. But now that I have this, I might invest in a yarn ball to take around with me, a yarn ball bowl, and then use this when I'm at the house. So I will, like I said, put this together and we will see what it looks like. Okay, I've got 2 more acquisitions. This first one is from Arkansas Yarn Company. As I said, this is one of my favorite local yarn stores, even though they're not local to me. I just love Lori and Jessa and Anna and Lindsay, the whole team. I picked up 2 skeins of their fingering weight yarn. This is from Twisted Ambition Yarn. He is a yarn dyer. He has an Instagram, a TikTok. Very, very vibrant colors. They are 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon, 463 yards. The knitting gauge is 27 to 32 stitches on a US 1 to 3 knitting needle. This is the color Sweet Smoke. And this is the color, oh no, hold on. Backtrack. This is on his Sweet Sock base. That does not say Sweet Smoke. And this is the color Smoke. Okay. And this is the color Empower. These were originally bought for a shawl that they were doing a knit along. But I may end up doing something else on the loom with these. And then another one, and I've had this for a little bit. I just have not opened it. Let's see if it has a date on here. April 29th. It's July. And I'll tell you the reason why. I had a knee replacement right around that same time. So when it was finally delivered, because it came from Canada, it just went up on the shelf. And I mean, honestly, it just went up on the shelf. I have no other reason but that. So this is from Arcane Fibers. I love their yarn. This one is called Turquoise Treasures. And this one is Maleficent. Okay. These both are 80-20, which means it's 80% wool, 20% nylon. The knitting gauge is 27 to 32 stitches over 10 centimeters or 4 inches on a US 1 to 3, which so it's the same parameters as the other two that I just showed you. These two are going to be socks for sure. I have some more of their yarn. I just love their yarn. Okay, so that should be all for the hauls that I can remember right off. Gotta stay hydrated. Very, very hot outside. Okay, well, I'm going to do finished objects first. So the first finished object that I have, I'm going to call it finished even though the ends aren't woven in, is a hat. This was done with the Soft Sage Charisma from Loops and Threads. This is a hat tutorial that is coming out for beginners, and the tutorial is done with right-handed and left-handed. So be looking for that. Like a very basic hat, very beginner friendly. That is the only FO that I have at the moment. As far as what I'm working on, I am working on 2 pairs of socks. This first one is in, what is this? Valley Fibers, Valley Yarns, Huntington Valley Yarns. And the color is Seagull, which is this blue. And then I have this gray here too. So I'm probably going to do different color heels maybe, or maybe just a pop of different color in the cup. Basically what I'm doing is I'm trying to see, because these come in 50-gram hanks, I'm doing a little experiment to see if you can get a whole pair of socks in that 50 grams. I'm almost positive that you can. I know that you can with the needles. So this one is on the 60 peg 1/4 inch gauge from Cindy Wood Crafts. This one is basically their oval sock loom, which is pre-marked out per the Lopsided Crafter. Y'all, my heart was so happy when they reached out to me about that. But anyway, this is I don't know if you can see that stitch pattern because of the sock and the light behind us. But it does have a little bit of a stitch pattern there. It's knits and purls, basically. It's probably not quite long enough for you to see it. If you don't know a lot about loom knitting the socks, this hairy bit right here is the Kitchener cast on. So this is the front of the foot. Once I get a little bit more done, I'll close that off. And then this is the bottom of the toe. So I'll show you from the back. So that's the bottom of the toe. This is the back of the sock. This one obviously is being done toe up. This one, like I said, stitch patterns of this one is a little bit more. I've got to Not necessarily concentrate because the stitch pattern is really easy, but not something that I can do while I'm talking. The next thing I'm working on is another sock, and this one is just going to be plain vanilla sock. This one is cuff down with a heel tab and a folded hem. I've done the heel, and now I'm just working on the foot. This loom is the Bitty loom from KB Looms. When I am doing a sock cuff down, I like to use this loom because it is a lot easier to decrease with the toe. This toe will be a rounded toe, so you have to decrease down quite a few pegs. I believe the last one that I did with this, I decreased all the way down to maybe 6. It might have even been 4. I'd have to go back and look at my notes, but that's quite a bit going from 60 down to that. This is the Premier sock kit from Premier. I purchased these several months ago. They come with 2 50-gram balls, a 25-gram ball, and then it also comes with stitch markers, a crochet hook, and DPNs. So each one of those sets comes with it. I did a review on this yarn on my other channel for the knitting loom. I wasn't 100% liking the yarn. I will say this time I'm liking it a little bit better. So, was it the time of the year? Was it, I just got that feeling from the beginning I didn't like. You know how sometimes when you automatically think, oh, I'm not going to like this, then no matter what you do or say or what anybody else does or says, you're not going to like it. That might have been part of it. So I went in with more of an open mind to give this a second chance. This time I'm liking it. The downside to these is you cannot buy any of this yarn separate. You have to buy the kit every time, which I don't really necessarily like that. But as I said, I'm giving it another shot, and I'm liking it so far. I'm going to go back to this other sock because obviously it's the wrong side, but you might be able to see that. There we go. So you can kind of see the stitch pattern there. It's, as I said, that's the inside of the sock. So obviously the outside of the sock is going to look a little bit different, but anyway. That is what I am working on. So that is my whips. I showed you my FO. I've showed you my acquisitions. So what have I been reading? I finished The Silent Patient. I am in a book club with my son's girlfriend. Might as well call her my daughter-in-law. They've been together since, can't remember if it was their sophomore year or their junior year of high school, and they both turned 25. So, I mean, they've been together for quite a while. But that was the book we're reading for book club, is The Silent Patient. It was an okay book. It was too first person for me. It was not, there wasn't a lot of conversation. It was more his thoughts. I don't know. If you haven't read it, give it a try. It just wasn't my favorite book. It wasn't suspenseful enough to keep me going, but I did read it. As far as what I've been watching, we just watched Happy Gilmore 2. It was okay. I enjoyed the first one better. I will say that because there was a 29-year gap between Happy Gilmore 1 and Happy Gilmore 2, I was in my early 20s during Happy Gilmore 1, so the things that I thought were funny in the first one did not strike me so much as funny now that I'm in my 50s. I guess it's because I'm older. But, I mean, overall, it was a good movie. The first one I still think was better. What else? Well, as far as I'm concerned, even though it is July, it is spooky season. So I've been watching, you know, my go-tos. I've been watching Halloween and Cujo, and I watched the whole Annabelle series again, you know, each movie in order with The Conjuring and that kind of thing. I love cryptid stuff, so I rewatched Chasing Bigfoot series. I know, I know. So that's really what I've been watching. I have a TV out here in my shed, so whenever I am out here knitting or working on anything for you guys, I've always got the TV on and playing something in the background, whether it's one of those shows or somebody else's YouTube channel or something like that. So let me get to know you guys. Comment below something about you that you don't mind sharing. I mean, I know this is a social type public place, and you know, I know a lot of people don't like sharing a lot of things, and that's fine. But comment below. Tell me a little bit about you, what you're loom knitting, what you're wanting to loom knit, if there's something that you are wanting to learn. I'm doing this channel for you guys. I'm doing it for myself so that I have something to do because I love to teach and I love to share. But I'm mainly doing it for you guys, and I want to keep the content that you guys are gonna, you know, that you want to learn, you know. So, all right, guys. Until next time, happy loom knitting and stay loopy. Bye.